Everything changes in Season 2. After gaining the powers of a Soul Reaper and fighting hollows in the human world, Ichigo Kurosaki now takes his fight straight into the Soul Society. With Rukia sentenced to death, Ichigo and his friends crash into Seireitei, and what follows is a non-stop clash of blades, spirit pressure, and betrayal. From the cannon launch to the brutal battles against Renji and Kenpachi, this is where Bleach truly begins to hit its peak. Here's everything that went down in Season 2.
Damn!
Ichigo Kurosaki, Uryū Ishida, Orihime Inoue, Yasutora, Chad Sato, and Yoruichi Shihoin cross over into the Soul Society using the gate. They arrive in the Rukon district where normal spirits reside. Ichigo quickly finds himself in a battle with the gatekeeper Jidanbo when he carelessly tries to enter the Seireitei, where the Soul Reapers reside. Thanks to Urahara's training, Ichigo easily defeats Jidanbo, but when Jidanbo opens the gate in defeat, Ichigo encounters the Squad 3 captain Gin Ichimaru. Ichimaru uses his Shikai and pushes Ichigo back through the gate. After being shot out of the Seireitei by Ichimaru, Ichigo and his friends must find another way in. While searching for a friend of Yoruichi's who supposedly can help, Ichigo meets Ganju Shiba, a man who claims to be the #1 hater of Soul Reapers of the west part of the Rukon district. The two hate each other immediately and begin to brawl, but their battle ends abruptly when the clock on the back of one of Ganju's friends goes off. Ganju and his friends leave immediately. Yoruichi solicits the help of Ganju's sister, Kukaku Shiba, who agrees to send them into the Seireitei using her fireworks cannon. Meanwhile, Rukia's sentence has been moved to 14 days, and she is transferred into a cell called the Shrine of Penitence. Meanwhile, an emergency meeting is called among all the captains of the 13 court guard squads. In order to use the cannon to enter the Seireitei, Ichigo and his friends must first learn how to focus their spiritual energies in order to use an item called a spirit orb, a task Ichigo finds especially difficult. He finally succeeds with the help of Ganju and creates the shell he will need to ride the cannon. Within the Seireitei, a meeting of all the captains in the 13 court guard squads is held to discuss how to deal with the invaders. The meeting is interrupted by an alarm, indicating that someone has infiltrated the Seireitei. Before the group launches into the Seireitei, Ganju reveals that the reason he hates Soul Reapers is because his brother was killed by one. In the Seireitei, the Squad 11 captain, Kenpachi Zaraki, sets out to hunt Ichigo, believing him to be a worthy opponent. Meanwhile, Squad 5 captain Sosuke Aizen confronts Ichimaru in front of the Squad 10 captain Toshiro Hitsugaya about his flimsy excuse for allowing the invaders to escape, causing Hitsugaya to suspect that Ichimaru is planning something. As the crew passes through the shield surrounding the Seireitei, Ichigo's inability to control his spiritual energy results in the shell exploding, separating the group. Ichigo lands with Ganju and Uryū with Orihime, while Chad and Yoruichi are alone. Ichigo and Ganju encounter and fight Squad 11 members, 3rd seat Ikkaku Madarame and 5th seat Yumichika Ayasagawa respectively. Ikkaku gains an advantage by using the Shikai of his Zanpakuto to fight Ichigo, while Ganju attempts to escape from Yumichika, using a series of tricks and fireworks he borrowed from his sister. Ichigo eventually overpowers Ikkaku, although he is injured in the process. Ganju and Yumichika continue their fight, with Yumichika pursuing Ganju throughout the Seireitei. Kenpachi continues to search for Ichigo, but is lost, thanks to the poor directions of his lieutenant, Yachiru Kusajishi. Ganju manages to defeat Yumichika by exploding fireworks on his face. Meanwhile, Uryū and Orihime are confronted by Jirobo Ikanzaka, the fourth seat of Squad 7. Uryū is easily able to destroy the projectiles he sends at them, and destroys his ability to be a Soul Reaper when he threatens Orihime. Meanwhile, the Squad 12 captain, Mayuri Kurotsuchi, dispatches teams of Soul Reapers to locate the intruders as he wishes to use them as his test subjects for his horrifying experiments. Ichigo and Ganju attempt to escape the Soul Reapers following them by using Hanataro Yamada, a Squad 4 officer, as a distraction. They fail, but the Soul Reapers are distracted by Chad's energy blasts elsewhere, enabling them to escape. Hanataro then promises to take Ichigo and Ganju to Rukia, as he is a friend of hers too. Kenpachi is still attempting to find Ichigo, but Yachiru's directions are leading him in the opposite direction. He then visits Ikkaku in the hospital and stops Mayuri from attacking Ikkaku when the latter refuses to answer any questions. As Mayuri leaves, Ikkaku tells his captain about Ichigo. With Hanataro's help, Ichigo and Ganju begin to head towards Rukia's location. However, Renji confronts them. Ichigo begins to fight him, and Renji reveals that he is 5 times more powerful than when they fought previously, as Soul Reapers have limits placed on their powers when they go to the world of the living. Ichigo and Renji fight viciously, with Renji initially gaining the advantage. However, Ichigo reflects on his training with Urahara and uses his resolve to fire a blast of spiritual energy at Renji, defeating him. Renji reflects on his past with Rukia, remembering how they were childhood friends and how they joined the Soul Reaper Academy together. However, they steadily grew more separated, and he stopped interfering with her after she was adopted by the Kuchiki clan. After reminiscing, he begs Ichigo to save her. Karin Kurosaki successfully destroys a hollow with her soccer ball after it falls from the sky, along with a kitten's soul. Elsewhere, Ururu Tsumugiya and Jinta Hanakari see a hollow and destroy it. At the park, Kanonji informs the group that he intends to form a team of heroes, the Karakura Superheroes. Later, the kitten shields Yuzu Kurosaki as more hollows attack her, and the minor hollows around them meld into one larger hollow. With help from the kitten, the Karakura superheroes defeat the hollow. Hanataro and Ganju carry Ichigo away as the Soul Reapers arrive, and Hanataro begins to heal Ichigo in the tunnels. Renji, despite being heavily injured, is incarcerated on the orders of his captain, Byakuya Kuchiki. Meanwhile, the head captain of the Soul Reapers, Gen Ryusai Yamamoto, commands all-out war against the intruders. As Squad 5 Lieutenant Momo Hinamori travels to a meeting of lieutenants the following day, she finds Aizen's body, hanging from a tower. Believing that Ichimaru murdered Aizen, Hinamori attacks him, but is stopped by Squad 3 Lieutenant Izuru Kira. Hitsugaya stops their fight and orders both to be incarcerated. He then promises to kill Ichimaru if he harms Hinamori in any way. Chad continues through the Seireitei, but the Squad 8 captain, Shunsui Kyoraku, decides to stop him. Ichigo, Ganju, and Hanataro travel towards Rukia's prison, but are immobilized by Kenpachi's immense spiritual force. The Squad 10 Lieutenant, Rangiku Matsumoto, gives Hinamori a letter from Aizen, which discloses the true identity of his murderer. Meanwhile, Ichigo begins to fight Kenpachi. However, Kenpachi's spiritual energy is so great that Ichigo cannot even cut him. As Chad continues through the Soul Society, he encounters members of Squad 8. He manages to defeat them all until Kyoraku confronts him. Although Chad is determined to win to uphold his promise to Ichigo, Kyoraku easily, albeit regretfully, defeats him. Rather than kill him, Kyoraku orders Chad to be incarcerated. Elsewhere, Ichigo is fleeing Kenpachi, terrified of Kenpachi's overwhelming power. After realizing the importance of his mission, however, Ichigo finds the resolve to face him. He manages to cut Kenpachi, but becomes overconfident after learning that Kenpachi has not mastered his Zanpakuto. Kenpachi then stabs him in the chest, breaking Ichigo's Zanpakuto in the process. Zangetsu, the spirit of Ichigo's Zanpakuto, brings Ichigo into his world. Through fighting a hollow version of himself, Ichigo realizes that Zanpakuto are more than mere tools, and that simply knowing name of his Zanpakuto does not make him more powerful. Ichigo is then able to fight Kenpachi on equal footing, and as the two clash in a massive strike, Ichigo collapses. Kenpachi falls down beside Ichigo in defeat, and Yachiru takes him away for medical treatment. Yoruichi also retrieves Ichigo for medical treatment. Meanwhile, Ganju and Hanataro arrive at Rukia's cell, but Ganju becomes infuriated because he believes Rukia was the killer of his brother, Kaion Shiba. However, in the end, Byakuya arrives, and Ganju decides to fight him despite the vast difference in their powers. As Ichigo awakens, Yoruichi reveals that she is actually a woman. Afterwards, Yoruichi shows Ichigo a device that allowed her to fly, and Ichigo uses it to go save Ganju and Hanataro. Meanwhile, Byakuya easily defeats Ganju with his Shikai, but is then stopped by the 13th Division captain, Jushiro Ukitake. Ichigo arrives and fights Byakuya. Before Byakuya can activate his Shikai, Yoruichi stops him.